What's up, War Report family? Your man Ike Jones right here. We are talking Auburn basketball versus LSU today. The game is at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, so about 30 minutes from game time here. Down in LSU today, Auburn's taking on the unranked LSU Tigers. Auburn taking their 16th rank in there. You guys make sure you do the preliminary stuff. You know what I'm saying? Share the video, get some more people in here on the conversation. Welcome to those of you who are viewing us on Facebook today. We are live on Facebook and YouTube right now. Make sure you give us a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, all of those things. And we appreciate the support that you guys are giving us at any time, any place that you can to get other people involved in what we got going on with the War Report. But y'all know how we do Prize Pick style. The pregame show sponsored by Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com is your place to do daily fantasy, not just on Auburn sports, but any sport that you're involved in and you love to support teams, or you just like to go and get some prop bets going on your stuff. You can do that right now on Prize Picks. So we appreciate all of you guys. Don Cullen, good to see you in here. Always great to see you and your wife come in and share with us. So thankful that you guys are in here with us today. Let's take a look at Prize Picks. I've already kind of taken a look at the props for today, and we can see what we've got going on right here. The props that I have selected for my card. As you can see, when you come in here to Prize Picks, again, you've got a bunch of different things that you can select from. You just search for the sport that you want to, or you select the sport. You search for a particular team if that's what you want to be able to choose from. When you put your Prize Picks card together, you have to have at least one player from two separate teams for a prop that you want to select. But when you put your card together, you decide whether you want to say that they're going to go over or under the prop number. I've got Janai Broom here going over his 12.5 points. I do think that this is going to be a game where Janai gets back to his scoring ways. He's been good for Auburn on the road, so I think he gets back to that today. Wendell Green Jr. will definitely take more than 2 3-pointers. I think he makes at least 2 of them in this game. We're going to need that productivity, so this is more of a hope than a definite right here. KJ Williams, a familiar foe for Janai Broom, and we'll talk about that a little bit. He is one of the forwards for LSU. I do think that he is going to score a good amount of points in this game. He didn't have a great game last time against Bama. I do think that he's going to bounce back and have a good game against Auburn, especially considering he is going to have the motivation of going against Janai Broom. And I think that he is going to get his points, and hopefully that is going to be it for LSU. KJ gets his, and everybody else gets shut down, but we'll see how that goes. And then lastly, the other scorer for LSU, I think you have to keep him a scorer and not let him facilitate. So I actually think I'm going to take the under on 1.5 assists. So if he gets 2 assists, that's going to be done. But I am going to take the flex play on that one, meaning if I get 3 of those 4 correct, we still win on that one. We'll go ahead and place that entry for tonight. And we are good to go to get into this conversation about what we've got going on for the game tonight. I see you guys peeling in here. Again, you're watching the War Report right here. LSU versus Auburn. Auburn taking their 16th ranked team on the road down to LSU. Third road contest for Auburn here in the SEC. Not so great on the first road trip to Athens, where we lost to Georgia, but we're able to get it done versus Ole Miss on the road. So hopefully we're able to continue the winning ways on the road with a W against LSU. You guys go ahead and drop your thoughts on this game in the comments. Any questions that you have for me, be glad to answer those questions. I'll probably stop about 10 minutes before game time. So about 10 till the top of the hour, I'll stop the program here so you guys can get situated. I can get myself ready to watch the game. Didn't make the trip to Baton Rouge today to watch the game in person, but definitely going to be checking it out here on ESPN2 at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I see Delta Safari in here with the War Eagle. Thank you very much for dropping in. Appreciate you very much. Don says, yep, Susan got her mug today, so we got those morning drop mugs that we've got out there. Susan got one of those, so definitely always glad to see you guys in here. A guy Corey Weber says, let me get that prize pick that Dak throwing 4 touchdowns against the Niners. That has nothing to do with this game. I have no idea why you would bring that up. Let's see. Don Cullen says, I'm hoping the 3s start dropping like 2019. I don't know that we have 2019 shooters, man. That 2019 team was loaded with shooters from 1 through 4. Really, if you go 5 when they went big with McLemore. So, went small with McLemore. So we don't have those kind of shooters, but we definitely have some guys who can go out there and get the job done, hoping they continue to do the job that they need to do. But for today's game against LSU, I think it's going to be important for our team to make sure that we're controlling the offensive and defense, well, mostly the defensive glass, not letting LSU get second chance points. Looking at what LSU has done thus far this season, let's take a look at they're averaging 34 and a half rebounds per game, right? So that's a pretty big number to be able to put up there. So we need to make sure that we're doing a good job on the glass against LSU to make sure that they don't have the opportunity for second chance points. It's going to be important for Auburn to do that, to limit the number of possessions or opportunities that LSU has to put up. Auburn averaging 38 and LSU averaging 34 rebounds per game. I think the big thing that Auburn needs to do in this game as well is get back to getting some of those paint defenses, right? We've been really kind of surrendering the paint a little bit more to prevent teams from bombing away on us at three, but we have to be able to defend the paint a little bit better. We're still averaging 6 blocks per game, but we really haven't been living up to that number in a couple of these SEC games. Need to get back into those winning ways. LSU going to be hungry for a W here. They are on a 4-game losing streak right now. They lost most recently to Bama in colossal fashion. I mean, they lost that game by 40 points. Took a tough loss versus Florida at home, a loss to Texas A&M, and lost to Kentucky. Their last win was against Arkansas before the end of the year. So we definitely want to keep that streak going for us with the 3 wins and keep them and get them a 5th loss in a row. But I wanted to talk about the matchup between Johni Broome and the forward for LSU in Williams, because Williams is, like Broome, a transfer from the conference. So they've gone head to head, Morehead State versus Murray State, excuse me. So we have familiarity with both of those teams at Auburn. But, you know, Johni Broome playing against a guy that he's familiar with, I think there's going to be a little bit of a extra added whatever to prove himself. Johni Broome likes to take those challenges. So I look forward to a big matchup between those two down in the post today to see who's going to have the superiority. And I think Broome needs to match him point for point today, as opposed to trying to stop him from getting points. I mean, definitely try to stop him from getting points, but he's going to get his in the flow of the offense. LSU's going to run the ball game through him a little bit more than Auburn's going to run through Broome. But I do hope that Broome gets his touches, because what we saw in the last game is we weren't getting Johni a lot of post touches in that game. Didn't really ultimately need it. Second half came out in a little bit more concerted effort, but I think that was more because of Jalen Williams' first half that Broome wasn't getting as many touches. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a game where you want to control pace and you're going to need to get the ball to Broome. LSU is going to probably try to do a good job of fronting the post on him and then doubling him if they get it in the rotation to Broome. So he's going to have to post effectively and pass effectively out of that double team. So looking forward to seeing that. Don Cullen says, ready to see a big game out of Green, KD, Johni, and Jalen. Listen, if we get all 4 of those guys having a big game, double digits from all of those guys, you might as well go ahead and chalk that up as a W for Auburn, because those are kind of our engines. And I don't know that we've had a game where all 4 of them have been clicking thus far this season. You might have gotten 2 of the 4, but not all 4 of them at the same time. So definitely looking forward to seeing that. Corey Weber says, I know nothing about LSU. Tell me how we beat them. I kind of went and talked about that a little bit before I kind of read this comment over here. But I think the big thing for them, they've got 2 guys who are the majority of their scores, and that's going to be Williams and the kid Adam Miller. Adam Miller is the other kid that they have. That's the majority, where the majority of their scoring is going to come from. I think where Auburn has to be able to pull away in this game is the bench scoring. You've got to have guys that contribute when LSU goes to their bench and they go to lineups that don't include both of those guys on the floor at the same time, and try to get your plus minus better in your matchups where you're going to have one of or both of them out of the game, because again, most of their scoring, and they play the majority of the minutes. So if you get one of those guys in foul trouble, then LSU has typically been in trouble. But the teams that have beat them with limiting the ability for those 2 guys to do anything in a facilitation standpoint and turning them over. So you're going to have to play some really good defense, turn them over, and then just be efficient in the half court. Auburn hasn't been efficient in the half court. We need to do a better job of that. David M.I. comes in and says, turnovers. When we don't give stupid turnovers, we win. I am in agreement with this. That comes with half court efficiency. Just getting quality possessions on a consistent basis is going to be important for Auburn. Turning the ball over, Listen, you're going to have turnovers in the game. I just don't like the silly ones where you step out of bounds unforced, where you dribble the ball off your own foot, the lazy pass stuff. We've got to do a better job in the half court of getting into our sets, I think, a little bit more effectively and earlier in the shot clock. Last couple of games, you've seen periods of time in the game where if the other team is pressing specifically, we'll get the ball right at around 21 seconds on the shot clock. But then, we go through one rotation of a flex, and then at about 16 seconds, we're going into the high pick and roll. And if that isn't effective, then you get a bunch of dribbling out there by whoever the guard is on the at the time, and a forced shot at the end of the clock. That's not efficient basketball. We need to be able to play a little bit more efficiently and get better high quality shots, even if it's late in the shot clock. I don't mind late shot clock shots. I just want them to be better quality shots rather than forces to try to beat the shot clock. So hopefully we can limit the turnovers and get more efficient in the half court. Don says, you asked Coach Bruce Pearl about Jalen's contribution for the last game. Where did you see him going? I really like his effort. I think he is skyrocketing. Well, that was actually Mike G in on the presser asking Coach Bruce Pearl about the effectiveness of Jalen in the previous game. And I think the thing, and Jalen, we asked him that specifically as well. Mike G did a great job of that, asking Jalen, and Jalen said he's always been pass first, right? So he's not as active in seeking his shot, but I think he has opportunities to go and get that shot pretty much whenever he wants to, just because he takes good medium range shots that he can make. I'd like to see him take those shots a little bit more often, because I think it makes the defense have to play that flex action a little differently, right? So when Jalen is the screener, what you end up having typically happen is, and I plan on doing a watch the film on this to show the effectiveness of Jalen in that down screen on the flex, or in that off ball screen in the flex. But what you have is him going there, and you have to make a decision whether you're going to switch that, or you're going to play the guy who is coming on the screen. You're going to double that guy and then come late to try to challenge. What happens with Jalen is he's able to either curl to the center, or he can shoot all the way out to the opposite side, to the 3-point line on the opposite side of the court. And so you have an opportunity to be able to skip pass over to Jalen for an open three. And so they started realizing, okay, when Jalen's in there, he might go for the open three. So that leaves the opportunity for him to hit that curl right back to the center a little bit more often. And he can hit that medium range shot in there, turning over either shoulder, more effective turning over his right shoulder, being able to throw it up with the left hand because he's left-handed. But I think that that's where he's going to be able to be effective continuously, if we're able to get effective on the ball screens, off ball screens from Jalen, and then clear entry from whoever the big man is, whether that's Jani Broom or Dylan Cardwell, whoever that's going to be, being able to enter the ball in there to Jalen. Let's see. Stuart Donald, I see you in here. War Eagle to you. Don Cullen says, it's Flanny looking like he's coming into his own. I really like watching him. Flanagan has played well, I think 3 games in a row now in double figures that he's been able to play. He's definitely feeling more comfortable with his 3-point shot, especially pulling up off the dribble. I like to see that. And the effectiveness of Flanagan for me is in the medium range, because he can pretty much get to his spots whenever he wants to. As long as he's playing in control as he drives to the basket, he can get to that mid-range shot whenever he wants to. I say the same thing about KD a lot. Because they're so quick and able to attack so aggressively downhill, if they play with good pace and control, they can get to their medium range whenever they want to. And if they're shooting high percentages, which Alan Flanagan has done an effective job of shooting high percentage from the medium range this year, he's going to be able to get double digits whenever he wants to, pretty much. So hopefully he'll continue that trend. Don comes back in and says, can I speak to the health of the team? Listen, I don't know what the situation with Chris Moore is. He was at practice this week, but he wasn't practicing. So I don't know whether or not he's going to be ready to go for this game. I don't know what the situation is with Jani Broom. I think he's got still some leg issues happening with him. You haven't seen really any solid elevation out of him when he's going to either shoot the ball or going to block shots. Even when he's dunking it, he's not really above the rim. He's kind of even with it. I mean, he's a 6'9", 6'10" guy, so he doesn't have to do a lot of jumping to get there. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Throughout the season, I have seen Dylan Caldwell wearing a back brace. He didn't wear it in the last game, so that leads me to believe that he's feeling a little bit better about his back. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more minutes out of him. But then outside of that, I don't think anybody else is dealing with any health challenges other than possibly Chance Westry, who's been kind of just still trying to lingering situation coming back from the knee scope that he had earlier in the summer. So hopefully he'll be back in a place where he can start to contribute to the team. But as far as health, I think those are the only issues that we have. Wendell seems like he's bounced back pretty well from his issue. Jalen seems like he's bounced back pretty well from his issue he had earlier with their injuries in the season. Let's see. Super chat here from Jamal says, I want Berman to shoot more, be aggressive on O. Berman's a guy who I think just needs to get it in the flow of the offense. That's going to come with minutes for him. But he's not like he showed an ability to hit the pull-up shot that he did. I'd like to see him do that sort of thing more rather than just kind of be a guy floating along the perimeter waiting to shoot a three-pointer. But he's a guy that's going to need to get it in the flow of the offense. And as long as he continues to give you quality defensive minutes, he's going to continue to earn minutes on the floor. I think with Chris Moore being out, you're going to see more of Lior Berman in the matchups right now, playing at an off guard, likely at a three-guard position because he is big enough to be able to do that. He's not really quick enough to be a two-guard, usually playing like one of their better ball handlers / scorers, but he is big enough to be able to play a lot of the threes in the league that aren't going to be as fast and aren't going to be as ball dominant. So he can play off the ball and be able to get you some quality minutes and force teams to have to be honest defensively because he is an effective three-point shooter. So as long as he's ready to shoot, he'll get his opportunities. I think Lior is going to be an asset for this team going down the stretch, especially in the wake of the injury to Chris Moore. You never know what's going to happen with a foul situation, especially with Alan Flanagan. Sometimes he can get into foul trouble, and we're not particularly deep at an off guards position with not getting anything from Chance Westry right now. So you can go to a small guard lineup, but that makes you a little bit more vulnerable on the defensive end against some of the bigger guards in the league. And LSU does have some big guards that we'll have to contend with. Let's see. Corey jumps back in. We tend to telegraph lane passes way too often, too many lost possessions. I agree with this statement 100%. I think the biggest issue that I have with this team, and really has been an issue with our guards the last couple of seasons, is just the inability to consistently deliver post passes. Post entry has just not been great. And we have a guy who can be effective in the post. You need to be able to get him the ball effectively more often. So hopefully they've gotten better at being able to do that. Well, they have gotten better, but it's still a problem. It's still, ineffective post-entry passes. Dylan Caldwell works really hard for position there in the middle often, and they're not hitting him. Or if they do, they're putting it in a place where he's got to fight for the ball when he's already fought for position. So just got to do a better job of those things. And making it where those guys can be in an optimal position to turn and score before the double teams come, or be able to get the ball with enough time to see where the double team's coming from and hopefully pass effectively out of those double teams. So definitely a good statement there. Don jumps back in and says, wasn't it kind of odd that Wendell kind of held out during the first part of last week's game? Then we saw a lot more from the second half, came on real strong, 15 points in the game. I think the issue with Wendell early in that game is he was forcing some things. And so we just need to try to get the ship steadied. And when he came back in, he had his mind right. So I think it's a good job on the part of the coaching staff to just recognize when a guy needed to be able to take a minute and get him back into the game. Our guy Deets in here. Good to see you in here again, man. War Damn Eagle, War Rapport family. It's been a minute for me, definitely. I've missed you seeing here in the comment section. Good to see you back in here. Gabrielle, good to see you in here, even though you're speaking to Corey. I know I'm saying this in the chat. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Aiden Townsend says, War Eagle just now checking in. Is Chris Moore playing tonight? Don't know for sure if he's playing. He was not in the starting lineup, I don't believe. And let me go check and make sure and see if Auburn Basketball has put out their starting lineups. They usually would have by now. And the game is going to be starting here in about 10 minutes, or at least it's scheduled to. So hopefully we will be able to transition to that here in just a minute. Starting five does not include Chris Moore as put out by the team. So I don't know if he's going to be playing tonight, but hopefully he'll be good to go. If not today, then very soon. Looking forward to that. All right. As I said, man, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. We are about 10 minutes from the tip-off here against LSU. You guys make sure you continue to like the videos that we put out here. I appreciate you guys checking in with me before the game. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. If you see content by us, share it. There's still time for other people to jump in on the conversation in the chat afterwards or in the comments afterwards. I appreciate you guys for checking in here with me. I'm about to get out of here. People cursing in the chat, man. Ashley, I see you down there. I'm not putting that up on screen, but I do appreciate you jumping in. All right, man, I'm out of here until next time. And as always, War Eagle, and we will see you guys on the other side. Peace.